That's where I gave up on him as a character. I was like, fuck this guy. Yeah. Fuck him. Like that's the problem with it. At that point, I no longer cared what happened to him as a person. I was like, he's a piece of shit. We in. Yo, your hair is looking wet right now.
Do you mean that like? I don't know how to take that.
That's up to you how to take it. I don't know how I mean it.
I don't know.
Do I mean wet physically? Do I mean wet like a jump shot? Do I mean it sexually? I don't know. There's a lot of ways it could go.
I'm just going to really ignore what you just said.
Nope, I'm trying to throw you off at the beginning of the episode. All right, guys. Welcome to the Chris and Kyle Show. Spoilers for your poll-winning episode, despite Chris's best efforts to cheat the system. Raging Bull. I'm going to go turn that fan off because I just realized.
Yeah. It's good thinking. So, yeah, what he means by me trying to cheat this system is I actually voted for Taxi Driver in our own poll.
You damn cheat.
I don't know. I think that we should be able to vote.
Nope. We give the power to the people. We pick every other episode we do. Why should you influence the one that we don't pick?
Because I didn't want to do Raging Bull.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to know why?
I mean, we can get into it as part of the episode.
Go ahead. Bring us in.
So for people who don't know, Raging Bull is a film directed by Chris's personal friend, Marty Scorsese, and starring Robert De Niro, Kathy Moriarty, Joe Pesci, and others, but those are the most important to the story. It was nominated for 2 Oscars, and Robert De Niro won the Oscar for Best Actor. And I think Kathy Moriarty was the other nomination for Best Supporting Actress or Lead Actress. I don't know. Academy Awards winner, Best Actor, Film Editing. Oh, it was way more than 2. You're lying to me. It was an editing nominee, Best Picture nominee, Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Joe Pesci nominee, Actress in a Supporting Role Kathy Moriarty nominee, Director Marty Scorsese, Cinematography Michael Chapman, Sound, bunch of dudes.
But widely regarded as probably the best Martin Scorsese movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Is
I would
it?
say so.
Okay.
I would think a majority of people would say this is the best Scorsese movie.
Okay.
Like as far as like in like an academic sense.
Okay.
Like I would say like the popular crowd would probably say like Goodfellas.
Okay.
They're probably like because that is probably his most. That is
Well,
like
there's a difference between having your best and your most well-liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you want to lead with
Do you want to go over what the movie is about?
It's about Jake LaMotta, a boxer, and how shitty of a person he is.
And it's based off of his own autobiography.
Which I thought was pretty crazy. I didn't know that. Like, that dude was very honest about himself.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the reasons why I didn't want to do Raging Bull. I've seen Raging Bull before. This is your first time going through it. The first time that I watched this movie and the second time I watched this movie, I feel like I don't really understand it. It's the same thing with Taxi Driver, but at least Taxi Driver, like, I love it so much that, like...
Was this the second time you've seen it?
Yeah, this is the second time that I've seen Raging Bull. And I like it.
When you say,
I liked it the first time I watched it.
When you say you don't get it, do you mean you don't get why people acclaim it so much?
No, like, I understand that it's a good movie. And I do like it, right? But there's, like, a different thing there. There's, like, a different, like... When I watch Social Network, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I understand everything that's going on, and I understand why everything's... everything that's good about it, right? And I've always, like, compared, like, Taxi Driver and Social Network on, like, the spectrum of, like... so, like, you can take every aspect of Social Network and it's, 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. Whereas, like, Taxi Driver, it feels like, it has the 1 and 1 and 1, but it equals, like, 5. You know what I mean? Like there's
I
like
haven't
some
seen Taxi Driver, so
there's
I have no
some
idea what you're
weird
talking about.
kind of, but, like, Raging Bull is very similar that way.
Well, there's things in Raging Bull that just, in the moment, like, I looked at you a few times and I was like, wait, what's happening? Because like, he fights Sugar Ray Robinson, and then he's getting angry because he has to cut weight to Sugar Ray Robinson, and they never explain in between those scenes that he's having a rematch against him. You think there's doing a weird time hop or something.
Yeah.
And that happens a couple times where weird, there's weird cuts to moments and you don't really understand
Yeah.
what moment you're in until much later in the scene.
And like the narrative of Raging Bull doesn't really like follow a very like logical like like A to B thing.
No,
like,
not at all.
Not,
it's literally just like we're taking moments from his life.
Exactly.
And examining them.
Exactly. So that was one of the reasons why I was like tentative of doing a Raging Bull episode. It's just I just don't really get it. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like I could provide good enough content for this podcast to do a podcast on Raging Bull.
I don't know what you mean by you don't get it, because at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. It's just an examination of a dude's life.
But there's more than that. Like what makes it one of the greatest movies of all time?
I don't know.
Can you quantify that? Exactly.
I didn't
you
get
don't
it.
know.
I didn't get it in that sense.
Okay.
I mean, I thought it was good,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I've talked about before how I have a hard time with old movies.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like them as much. I just don't. This movie's in black and white, which was fine. It was fine. It didn't really bother me. But like I was watching, like I've heard before how the boxing scenes in Raging Bull are like visionary and they changed it. But like I'd much rather watch the boxing scenes from Creed.
Okay.
I think they're way better.
Okay. Now,
But there are things in this, like when they show like the blood squirting, that
Right.
shit's dope. There's
Okay.
some cool effects.
Now, so after we watched this movie last night, I knew that I had to do more research and go into more of it in order to provide so that we could adequately talk about Raging Bull, right? So I figured, I typed up, or
It's a lot of words there,
printed
buddy.
out Pauline Kael's review of
dat?
Raging Bull. Pauline Kael is a very well respected film critic. Someone like fucking like Quentin Tarantino would reference Pauline Kael like all the time in an interview, right? So I printed out her review of Raging Bull, as well as looked at what Scorsese said in his own book on Raging Bull. And I was just trying to find
The book is called On Raging Bull?
no, it's called Scorsese on Scorsese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally just interviews with Marty. And I was trying to find patterns, things that they were both kind of saying, right? And I thought that there was a couple of things that were pretty interesting. I'll start off with what you just said about the fight scenes, right? Because there's and this is what I'm talking about when I say that I don't really get it, right? So both you and I can agree that like the fighting of like the way that these fight scenes are depicted is not as accurate as like a Creed or
Rocky
or even Rocky, right?
Like Warrior. Warrior is fucking gorgeous, like fighting,
but like the technique,
filmed fighting and fight choreography and stuff.
Right, but like the technique of the choreography and everything is what's beautiful, right? So, Pauline Kael writes in her review, she says, "We don't get to see the different styles of LaMotta's opponents. Scorsese doesn't care about the rhythm and the balance of the fighters' bodies. There's no dancing for these fighters and very little boxing. What Scorsese concentrates on is punishment given and received."
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I thought that was a
yeah,
good
like
point.
the fights in this movie are, they're never more than maybe a couple minutes that we see from them.
Exactly.
And a lot of them, we see 6 fights over the span of 1 minute.
But the boxing scenes aren't about the sport of boxing.
Exactly, yeah. They're about Jake LaMotta.
They're about Jake LaMotta and his struggle and his need to put himself in danger, right? So this is from Scorsese on Scorsese. He says, "I felt that Jake used everybody to punish himself, especially in the ring." Again, that punishment thing, right? "I felt that Jake used everybody to punish himself, especially in the ring. When he fights Sugar Ray Robinson, why does he really take that beating for 15 rounds? Jake himself said that he was playing possum." Jake LaMotta in real life, because he was on set around. So Jake himself said that he was playing possum. Well, that may be Jake in reality, but Jake on the screen is something else. He takes the punishment for what he feels he's done wrong. And when he's thrown in jail, he's just faced with a wall. And so with the real enemy for the first time.
I really like that scene.
Himself.
Yeah, that was a really good scene.
Right. And so he talks about that punishment factor, right? And I think that you're probably a good person to talk to about this because you have common ground with Scorsese. As far
Catholic
as
guilt. He's like the
Catholic
most
guilt.
Catholic guilt dude ever. He talks about it all
exactly.
the time.
And it influences a lot of the perspectives on his movies and the images in his movies. He has a lot of religious content. Even when, Raging Bull, like he's never in a church in Raging Bull. There's a lot.
There's crosses everywhere because it's an Italian family.
Right. It's an Italian family,
Yeah.
but it's not as in your face as like even like a Mean Streets, where, he's like the movie like literally starts off in a church.
Okay.
So what did you pick up from that? Like that idea of punishment. Were you thinking at all in religious terms when you watched this movie?
No, I wasn't.
No?
I don't know. Like my thing was, we've talked about this before, how it makes it a lot harder to enjoy a film. Not necessarily understand the merits of a film and realize it's good, but to enjoy a film when the characters aren't likable. Jake LaMotta sucks.
Yeah.
Jake LaMotta is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And throughout the movie, it just gets like more and like early on, you think maybe like him and his first wife maybe just wasn't a good fit, and maybe the new relationship will work. Maybe it'll be better, and it is for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's worse than ever. And like his brother is really funny. Joe Pesci's great, but also not really a good dude. Not really. He's a better dude than Jake LaMotta, but not really a good dude.
Right.
And like even his wife is kind of
Drab.
yeah. Like no one is really likable. And it's I don't know.
Like probably the most likable is Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci's the most likable because he's funny.
Well, he's funny, and you also kind of know why he's doing everything that he's doing, right? Like there's like there's more of a logic and a reasonability with his character, where like you're kind of more on common ground with his character.
The like you mentioned the punishment thing.
Yeah.
The word that I would take away from Jake LaMotta as a character is paranoid more than anything else.
Right.
I think he's the most paranoid person like ever.
Yeah.
He's nuts. He's completely nuts.
He's the epitome of insecurity.
Yeah, he's completely nuts. And yeah, I like that idea that he uses boxing to punish himself. But then even going forward to that scene in the jail, and he punches the wall and he gets really upset and he starts crying, and there's that shot, it's a really cool shot where you can't see his face from that sliver of light. He ends up at the end of the scene saying, "I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad." Like he never, throughout the entire film, all the way through the end of the movie, he never realizes that he's the problem. It's weird.
And that's why
like he's subconsciously punishing himself more than anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, like I don't think that it is a conscious thing.
Yeah.
I think that and that's why the last shot of the film is him in the mirror talking to himself. Like so the original
he's running over a line from his stand-up bit, and he's like shadow boxes to hype himself up. Well,
actually, not from his stand-up bit. He's referencing On the Waterfront.
Oh, okay.
Right,
because that's how the movie opens as well. Is him doing the same thing.
Yeah, but the reason that he's doing it is because he's going over lines from On the Waterfront and a bunch of different things. Like it shows like a marquee or something that shows that like he's going to be reading a bunch of like really well esteemed writers like Serling, and I forgot who the other ones were. But he's reciting lines from On the Waterfront, which is about a boxer who became a bum. I mean, it's very similar to Raging Bull, but I'm pretty sure in that movie, Marlon Brando's character is talking to his brother, right?
Yeah, that's what he says.
Yeah, you're my brother, Charlie. Is like, and he's sort of blaming his brother for him, but in this, like he is his own brother, right? Like he is blaming himself. He's talking to him. But you set me up well for as far as like the fact that there's no redeemable qualities about Jake LaMotta's character. So Pauline Kael wrote about how she read this magazine called Film Comment and had a feature called Guilty Pleasures, where filmmakers would talk about their guilty pleasure movies.
Okay.
And she talked about how in it, Marty Scorsese ran through a bunch of his favorite movies, his favorite guilty pleasure movies, and why he liked them. there's a movie called Play Dirty, and he said, Play Dirty isn't a sadistic film, but it's mean. The characters have no redeeming social value, which I love. There's another movie called Always Leave Them Laughing, and Marty Scorsese said, I admire the guts it took for Burl to make this autobiographical film about a completely dislikable guy.
Okay, theme.
And there's a lot of things that you can see that are similar here. So there's another movie called I Walk Alone, and he says, Marty says, he has only one way to deal with his problems, brute force. Another movie, Dark of the Sun, he says, the sense of the film is overwhelmingly violent. There's no consideration for anything else. The answer to everything is kill. So you can kind of see the themes there that Marty really enjoys. And another line from the book.
Scorsese on Scorsese.
He says, I always find the antagonist more interesting than the protagonist in drama. The villain more interesting than the good guy.
That's pretty classic. That's pretty normal. But in this movie, he is the villain.
Well, he's the protagonist, but he's the villain. Yeah. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I get why it's great. I get it. But it's just that thing. It goes back to when there's not enough likability. I don't know if I would ever watch Raging Bull again.
Really?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, if someone was like, should I watch Raging Bull? I'd be like, you should watch it once for sure. For its, cultural value for what it is. But it's not something that I'm going to be go out of my way to be I want to watch Raging Bull again.
I'm interested in how you would feel about Taxi Driver, because I love watching Taxi Driver. I love watching Taxi Driver more than I love watching Raging Bull. So some of the tangible things that you can easily pick up as far as very good quality things that you can just pick up right away. The performances,
they're amazing. Yeah,
this is
Bobby's amazing.
This is tip top.
And Joe Pesci, they're both amazing.
Good luck finding another movie that has a better performances than this movie. I mean, it's fucking classic. Another one, cinematography. This movie is so beautifully shot. There are specific images in this movie that I bet one perfect shot could take fucking a dozen.
I think that might be because I mentioned there's the shot of the rope with the blood. I'm almost positive I've seen that on One Perfect Shot.
So
before.
Scorsese talks about that in his book about how he hates boxing. He doesn't like going to fights. Okay. But he went to 2 fights at Madison Square Garden in order to do research for the film. And a couple of things that he got from that experience was the images of the blood on the rope and the bloody sponge.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
makes sense.
There was a couple interesting anecdotes as well.
What was the one? Oh, the one where he has his fist in the ice bucket. That made me think of Whiplash.
Me too. Yeah. But a couple of interesting anecdotes from the book. Apparently, Jonathan Demme, who's another filmmaker, sent Scorsese some type of picture or something, and engraved in it there was a quote from Demme, and he said, "Jake fought like he didn't deserve to live." And Marty was like, "Yeah, that fucking,
you nailed it.
Yeah, you got it." He was like, "I made a whole movie about that, and you just fucking said it in a sentence." And there's another cool thing that Robert De Niro did on the set. So you remember the scene? It's a pretty classic scene. The "Did you fuck my wife" scene.
Yeah, that's where I gave up on him as a character. I was like, "Fuck this guy. Yeah. Fuck him." I did. That's the problem with it. At that point, I no longer cared what happened to him as a person. I was like, he's a piece of shit. He deserves anything wrong that happens to him. He's just shitty.
Yeah. He is shitty, but I appreciate the movie way more now that I've dived into it a little bit more, and I'm probably there's probably a way more shit that I can get into, especially with I don't really understand Pauline Kael completely she mentions the fact that there's religious imagery, but doesn't go into detail about what the imagery is, and I would love to see someone analyze that.
Just because it's always in Marty's films.
Well, yeah. But the "Did you fuck my wife" scene. So apparently they were shooting that scene for a bit, and Scorsese wasn't getting the right reaction out of Joe Pesci.
Okay.
So Robert De Niro's Scorsese said that, and then De Niro's like, roll the cameras again, and De Niro looked at Pesci and he said, "Did you fuck your mother?" And it gave Joe Pesci a reaction. That was completely natural, and like, why the fuck would you ask me that kind of thing? And Marty loved it. He was like, "Yeah, I'm keeping that."
Mm-hmm.
I just thought
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a cool.
Oh shoot, what was I just? Sure, just thinking something and I forgot it. You distracted me with the good story about.
Oh, okay.
Mothers.
So we talked about like sort of the slice of life thing and what Scorsese's focusing on, right? And there was another quote that I didn't talk about yet. So in Pauline Kael's review, one of the first things that she writes is, at first, we may think that we're going to find what makes Jake LaMotta's life special and why a movie is being made about him. But as the picture dives in and out of LaMotta's life, with a few minutes of each of his big fights, he won the title in 1949, it becomes clear that Scorsese isn't concerned with how LaMotta got where he did or what happened to him, right? And Scorsese said this in his book. He talks about how De Niro gave him Jake LaMotta's book, the autobiography, and he read it. And he said about the autobiography, he said, in the book, they tried to give a reason for everything Jake did in his life, for his guilt and for his violence. It was very bad. I thought that was really interesting. Like he was more focused on the events themselves than the reasons behind the events. And you can definitely like see like how that like manifested in the film.
Gotcha. I remembered what I was thinking of.
Okay.
It was about Robert De Niro.
Okay.
I saw two things that I thought were really interesting. One, he apparently trained with Jake LaMotta for like multiple months to prepare for this, which is cool. It's just always neat when people do that. And I saw a thing about Jake LaMotta's life that apparently they didn't get in. I thought this was like a weird thing to not look into at all. His dad made him fight other kids like on the street for entertainment when he was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, he like would do like basically human cockfighting.
Wow.
And like the neighborhood gentleman would throw coins in the ring to like, you know, keep him going or whatever. And then
That's
his dad would
fucking
take
nuts.
the dad would take the money and help put it towards rent. And
That's
then he
crazy.
ended up going to like juvie essentially, and that's where he trained and became a boxer.
Right.
When he came out of juvie, he was like 19 and he became a professional boxer. I thought that was crazy. Like that seems like something to put in. If you're going to do a movie about how messed up someone is, you would think you would want to touch into what made them so messed up.
But that's what he just said. Like he wasn't concerned with the reasons
yeah.
as to why Jake LaMotta was the way that he was.
Yeah.
He just wanted to display how he was, you know, and not demonize it or
just show it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Just wanted to depict it.
It's kind of weird. It's a very good movie though.
Yeah. Very good movie. But I think like it's almost like the nature of this movie kind of aids to it not being something that you would like.
I'm not saying I didn't like it.
But
It's just
something
like
that you would enjoy watching, I would say.
Yeah.
That's a better way to phrase it.
Oh, we didn't even talk about like the transformation that Robert De Niro went through.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
Crazy.
He gained like 60 pounds.
Insane.
To play older Jake LaMotta after playing
and
boxer Jake LaMotta.
And apparently he paid the cast and crew for like 4 months while he fucking got fat.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that he went and like stayed on an island.
Yeah, it says it in the book that fucking there's a lot of really cool shit in there. But yeah, so apparently Robert De Niro is like he paid off the cast and crew for 4 months so that he could fucking eat his way across Europe.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's
Crazy.
hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
Did he ever look back after that? Is this when he stopped being ripped? Like stud Bobby? And
Like he never. Yeah,
it was his first stage toward modern Bobby.
He never became hot again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Because was this or Raging Bull first? I mean, was this or Taxi Driver first?
Taxi Driver.
Because he's in really good shape in Taxi Driver. Or he's like skinny.
He's skinny.
He's skinny in Taxi Driver. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely like, it's definitely a very well-made movie. Like I'm not saying it's not good.
Right.
It's just it's harder to like enjoy things with no one likable, and just kind of the nature of that idea of not digging into why things are the way they are almost gives it this other sort of separation almost.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than like if you could have built some level of empathy if we knew why he was the way he was, but he didn't want that.
It was like it was never Marty's intention to build empathy within Jake LaMotta's character.
It's interesting.
I would say like probably like the only thing that's kind of empathetic about him is that he has like this weird sort of moral code of not getting knocked down. You know, like he will.
Well, it's just a prideful thing.
Yeah, he will literally just. But it could manifest it's like it's still tough. You know, he still has to endure. Like it would be much easier for him to just get knocked down.
Yeah.
You know, he probably wouldn't.
He didn't do it when the mafia wanted him to do it. He lost, but he didn't go down.
Yeah.
He didn't go down when Sugar Ray was destroying him.
And because he didn't go down when he threw his fight, it kind of led to the board examining him throwing the fight.
Yeah. And then he admitted to it. He was like, yeah, I did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was like the moment of the film where they had the best chance of like redeeming him as a character was at that moment. And then they were like, nah, that's not what we're doing.
How many Scorsese movies have you seen?
Not that many. No.
Wolf of Wall Street, probably?
Yeah, I've seen Wolf of Wall Street.
You never seen Goodfellas?
I've seen Goodfellas. No, I haven't seen Goodfellas.
Casino?
Nope.
You've never seen Mean Streets, Last Temptation of Christ?
Nope.
I'm trying
never
to think
will. Talked about that already.
You seen Shutter Island?
Nope.
You never seen Shutter Island?
That's Leo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I can't think about any other Scorsese movies.
Almost none.
Damn.
Yeah, he was like one of the directors where like I was talking to, I think it was like Jamie and Paul a while ago.
You never saw Silence either.
Nope. And I was like, I need to do like a full on Scorsese marathon because I had barely seen any of his movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did any of like because you're not really like used to Scorsese movies, like did you sort of get like thrown out of because he has a very like kinetic movement with his shots?
Yeah, it didn't bother me. I thought I love there's the one where when Sugar Ray's beating the fuck out of him.
Yes.
And they do the depth change. Very cool shot.
That's one of my favorite shots of fucking all time.
Really
it's so
cool.
gorgeous. Because I don't even think that it's not just the camera that's changing. It's the lighting that's changing as well. And it looks so fucking beautiful.
Yeah. And then there's a couple other times, like there's one where somebody's looking in a mirror and it like moves towards them in the mirror. And I was like, that was like kind of weird. But no, nothing like bothered me. And there's some, like you said, there's some gorgeous stuff.
Yeah.
But like Marty's a genius. So that's, you kind of expect that when you're watching one of his movies. I think we're running out of time. We gotta, because of our your phone being messed up.
We can wrap. I don't think that we have anything else to say really.
So this has been Spoilers on Raging Bull. Definitely a worthwhile experience seeing it. We have Us next week, right? We're gonna do Us.
Yeah, spoilers for Us.
Spoilers for Us next week.
Jordan Peele's Us.
Jordan Peele's newest film. We'll be back on Monday, as always, with our regular episode. Find Chris, chrismichaelstott.com for his scripts. Chris Michael Stott on Instagram. Find me, Davinwell25, Twitter and Instagram. Find the show, The Chris and Kyle Show, on Facebook, on YouTube, on all podcasting platforms, on Instagram, tcaks pod on Twitter. We will not have a poll for April because the winner of our bracket challenge is going to get to pick our spoiler episode that would normally be a poll. So look forward to probably whatever Chris's brother picks because it's looking like that might be it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I've got a shot. I'm the only one who didn't take Duke. I've got a shot.
So what's the hierarchy of winning here? Is like so if you pick the right national champion, you've won, right?
No, there's a point system. You accumulate points.
I thought that like so the point system is the
whoever has the most points by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure determining the national champion gets you like a fuck ton of points.
Right.
So you are most likely to win if you pick the national champion.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been fun. We'll be back next week, as always.
Yeah.
We out.
We out. Stay weird.